Hi, I'm Bailey Rivera. You can find me on Instagram as Bailey. This is the Calligra-knitter Podcast. It's a podcast about knitting, but also about calligraphy and letter arts and making all the things, which is what I do. This is kind of strange to talk to oneself, so bear with me. I have wanted to have a podcast for a really long time. But I recently realized that there are a ton of actual knitters that are also calligraphers, and it's fascinated me. So I thought it'd be really fun to talk to all of you about knitting and calligraphy, which are my two loves. Well, I have many loves. Making everything is kind of how I like to live my life. But anyway, we'll just have to see how this goes. I think what I'll do is have different sections for different interests and different things that are going on. That way, if you're not interested in one thing but the other you are, you can kind of skip around. So that will be sections on knitting projects, sections on calligraphy and calligraphy projects, section on making and growing all the things, random things that I do in my life that kind of make me who I am. And then we'll also do mailbox because I get a lot of really cool mail. I have a lot of calligraphy friends and artist friends. And so I thought I could share as much as I can the beautiful things that come my way. So thank you for being here with me. I'm really excited about it. So I thought, since most of you probably don't know me, that I would first introduce myself a little bit so that you can get to know me a little bit better. I'm Bailey Rivera. I live right outside of Denver, Colorado, in Littleton. And I live with my husband and my two cats, Posey and Olive. They're the cutest. I am originally from Austin, Texas, which is where both my family and my husband's family still live. We moved to Colorado in July 1st of this year from Pasadena, California. We'd been there for 4 years. So we've kind of been moving around a bit recently, but we bought a home here and we really like it. It's very fun. I am a professional calligrapher and lettering artist, I suppose. I have a business called Antiquaria with my business partner, Emma James. Our website is shopantiquaria.com, and we sell stationery and custom rubber stamps. And we have been in business since 2010. A couple of years ago, we launched our wholesale line, so our cards and notebooks are now carried nationwide and also internationally. So we really enjoy it. It's super fun. We have a catalog of products, and I'm sure I'll talk more about what we're doing and our process as this goes along. You can find me on Instagram at Antiquaria Bailey. You can find our business on Instagram at Antiquaria Design, and we'd love to connect with you over there as well. I have been doing calligraphy since 2009. I learned in Dallas when I was working there after college, and I learned from a woman named Susie Melissa Cherry. I took a 3-hour script class and fell in love with it and kind of hit the ground running and have been doing calligraphy ever since. And I started knitting when I was in 7th grade. Well, I actually took a spinning class, so spinning fiber into yarn, and then stayed after to learn how to knit. It was at Hill Country Weavers in Austin, Texas, and it was amazing. So I've knit on and off since then. I have not knit solidly, but I remember in high school I would I would take knitting to class and knit throughout speech and health, or whenever I really didn't need to take notes. And then I knit in college. I was a textile major at the University of Texas and really started knitting at the very end of college and then right out of college, and actually toyed around with being a knitwear designer, but that did not happen. I became a calligrapher instead professionally, and I just get to knit for pleasure, which is delightful. I started sewing when I was 4. My mom, she sewed a lot back then, and I just wanted to do it whenever she was doing it, which I'm sure was very irritating for her, and I'm sure that when I have kids that the revenge will be paid, but I am so grateful to have all of these skills that I use so much in my day-to-day life now, and I can't wait to share it with you. I think that's everything that I can think of. Please let me know if you have any questions for me in the comment section, or you can ping me on Instagram or whatever, and I would be happy to answer them. I think that's it, me in a nutshell. So let's get on to the podcast, shall we? So for knitting, I've actually dove into kind of a ton of projects that I probably didn't need within the past week or so. Because I have so much to show you, I don't think I'll show it all today. But I will show you what I've been working on, like actively working on. My local yarn store had a sale on Quince & Co. yarn, 35% off. And when I was knitting with a friend there last week, I got enough for 2 sweaters. So instead of letting that languish in the shelf, I decided to basically immediately cast on projects with them, which is good so long as I finish them, so we shall see. But to start, I will start with one of my projects that is almost done, and I'm knitting 2 projects from Home and Away by Hannah Fettig. It's a really nice book. The patterns are written really well, which is wonderful. So, you may have seen this on Instagram, but this is my Leslie sweater. And it's almost done. I'm working on the second sleeve, and I'm almost at the ribbing section. So I think this will probably be done this evening. This is in Quince & Co.'s Osprey, in the clay colorway, which is, for me, it's like the perfect coral color. And all signs point to it fitting perfectly, which is exciting considering I didn't swatch like a naughty person. I was too excited. And it has knit up very quick once. The body knit up really quick, and then each sleeve is taking like an evening and a half. So that's makes for a quick sweater. Okay, and then this one's easy too. I'm making a cast on socks out of it's a Patton's Croy sock yarn. I'll figure that out and let you know. Anyway, I have 2 little toes. And I kind of love how irregular they are, that they're not starting in the same place. These are for my husband, and he basically is obsessed with hand knit socks now, and it's the only gift he wants, so the end. That's all he's gonna get. Actually, he did say he wanted a sweater recently, and that will happen, but I don't know when. So socks it is for now. And I cast off his Christmas socks at 1 a.m. on Christmas morning before we went to sleep. So hopefully these will either be for his birthday, which is May, or if I'm really slacker and I don't get them finished for his birthday, then they will be for Christmas 2016. And maybe he'll get 2 pairs, or maybe he'll just get 1, or maybe he'll get 1 in a sweater. I don't know. We shall see. Okay, next we have also out of the Home and Away book. It's the, let's see, Sycamore Vest. Which is lovely, and this shirt as well. I would very much like to make something like that and have an outfit that's very similar to that. This is being made out of Quince & Co.'s Chickadee in the gingerbread colorway, which is a very lovely kind of camel color. And this is what I have so far. It's very easy knit. It's got this really pretty, but also very simple knit and purl border, which when blocked will be really lovely. So yeah, there's this vest, which is one of my easier knitting projects. And then I cast on the Hypatia, I think it is, pattern. Forgetting the name of the designer. I think it's Dawn something. Anyway, I'll also find that. I'm knitting it out of Quince & Co. Owl in the Burnt Sea colorway, which is a really lovely blue. Kind of denim blue color. Yeah, it's essentially the same color as my jeans. I'm not really sure where to start with this pattern. It is by far the hardest pattern to read that I have ever encountered. Granted, I've knit a long time. I fathom myself a fairly good knitter, and this one is perplexing to me, and I constantly, even in the simple parts, feel like I'm not doing it correctly. But how it goes is it's knit this way, so around your body. And yeah, which is what I like about it and why I wanted this sweater in the first place. Otherwise, it's a very simple cardigan and just knit top down in the round in one piece would have been probably the way to go. But anyway, this is all constructed with short rows, and it's a really lovely sweater, and I hope it turns out, and I hope I don't get too frustrated. So this is what I have so far of it. That's the top, yeah. So I think it's going like this, and then this is the this is a big wait and see. So we're just going to wait and see on this. Anyway, it's beautiful yarn. It's a beautiful pattern. If I can figure it out, I'm planning to write quite detailed notes in my on my Ravelry page, which I think I'm Amen Design Lab over there, actually. That would have been good to say. It's AMON Design Lab, and yeah, it's a strange pattern. And all of the feedback, I knew going in it was going to be strange, because all of the feedback from all of the other Ravelry users was, what is this pattern? I don't understand it. But without purchasing the pattern, you don't really know even what it's like. And I thought, oh, it'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. And that's what I'm doing, and I'm trying to just proceed with confidence. But I am flying by the seat of my pants a little bit. Like, I'm going to guess this is what this means, because it's not spelled out in a way that provides you assurance, which I like in a knitting pattern that I purchase, and that, you know, especially for a garment, like, come on, you get all the way into a sweater, you don't want to have to, like, rip it out or rip back or get to mid-back, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. So, jury's out on this one. But I hope it works out, because I really want the finished garment, and I think it's something that I need in my wardrobe very badly. And I can already envision beautiful mother of pearl buttons on it, and I'm excited about it. So I will keep working away. Anyway, I think that's everything I've been working on the past week. I certainly have other things in the works that I will bring back out. And I actually have a few things I have been toying around with. Frogging one shawl I was working on, which I love the pattern, but don't like what's happening with the yarn. So I think I have figured that out, and I think I know what new pattern I'm going to knit with it. So I'm excited about that one. Anyway, I will explain more of that later. Finished objects. I mean, I have all of my finished objects from forever, but I won't do that. I will just share my most recent. Then perhaps my favorites will make cameos over time. So, also, I've shown this on Instagram, but not since I've woven in the ends and worn it. This is a pattern that I have the recipe for this pattern memorized. Is the second sweater, maybe third, that I made. This is not the third this is just a version. I've made it, I think, 3 or 4 times now, and actually have in my brain another one I want to make for spring and summer. Anyway, it is, I'll put it on. It's this big, drapey, alpaca, striped situation, which, no, that way. Let's see. Anyway, I think turned out really well. I started it in, I think 2008. So this languished for a very long time. And I didn't particularly enjoy knitting it towards the end. You knit like all the way across. So it was a lot of stitches and moss stitch, which is knit one, purl one. And anyway, I went back to Austin, stayed with my parents in September, and decided this is the year I'm going to finish it, which I guess it wasn't. I finished it in 2016, not 2015, but it's done, and I'm excited about that. And I've actually been wearing it a ton, and it's probably because it's alpaca, it's cold enough in Colorado to actually enjoy it. It's essentially a coat. It is so warm. I don't even need an outer coat when I go out, and it's like 30 degrees, which is amazing. But Texas and California, the only two other places I've lived, you pretty much don't need coats or sweaters most of the year. So it's very appropriate that I finished it during the winter when I moved to Colorado. So there. Anyway, that is going to be my finished object for today. I will share more, I am sure. And hopefully hopefully my Leslie sweater is done tonight because I want to block it and wear it very badly. Anyway, happy knitting, and I will jump to, I guess, the calligraphy portion of the podcast now. So I'm starting to lose light a little bit, so I had to turn on the overhead light. Apologies. Natural light I know is much better, however, it takes a long time. So for calligraphy, gosh, just like knitting, it's almost endless. Recently, I've been studying Spencerian script and have been taking the online class with Master Penman Harvest Crittenden, and it's just ended. I'm sure she'll do it again at some point, but it's been a fantastic class, and I know there are many Instagram people that are also in it, which is super fun. And I've been studying Spencerian for, I took her online classes as well maybe a year and a half ago, and then I went to Ohio in the fall and did the Spencerian Saga, which is a week-long intensive class. So, in case you aren't familiar, this is a historical example of Spencerian. Oh, it's so shiny. Sorry, I can take it out of the sleeve. It's beautiful. It's very delicate, and it is by far the hardest calligraphy style I have ever tried to get good at. Like anything, it just takes practice. But I've been really trying to get some muscle memory, refine, how I see things, and make sure I can see the errors. And I'll just show you some of my work. That's some homework from the class. This is what my practice usually looks like. It's just pages and pages and pages of letters. The sheets, most of the sheets look like that. So, because most of my sheets look like that and they're just practice sheets, they're not beautiful, if I mess up, I just stop, I keep going. I really want to work on writing with a rhythm where I can write, say, a letter or a poem or something without a whole lot of planning, but still have it be beautiful and well designed. And I feel like I've achieved this in my personal style, which I'll show you a couple of examples of. But I certainly think that to have achieved this in Spencerian is much more. It's something that I definitely want. So this past week, I decided to write out a journal entry just to find something to practice. And it's probably the most text in the smallest amount of space that I've ever written. Let's see if it'll focus up. Anyway, it's just for practice. It's not perfect by any means. It's compared to when I really am on a guide sheet and have the angles there and have everything to where I can use spacing effectively, then it'd be much better. But anyway, it was a good practice. I was wiped by the end of that. So that's kind of what I'm working on study-wise personally, really intently. And because I don't do client calligraphy any longer for Antiquaria, I'm able to find the time to study and to further different scripts. When I did do client calligraphy, I was doing a lot of envelope addressing and place cards and escort cards, and you know what most working calligraphers do. And at the end of the day, I just needed a break. I didn't want to practice more, so making the decision to not do client calligraphy anymore was not a hard one. I love it. I love doing calligraphy, but more than anything, I like for it to feel like a hobby. Even though I use it for work, I would rather have it feel like a passion, because it is one, than to feel like a chore and like work. So that's where we are. Some examples of my style of writing would be like this, which I wrote for Instagram yesterday. Or this, which I also wrote for Instagram. Or mostly they're all Instagram posts. This. And I have so much fun figuring out things to write for Instagram now, which I love. And then for work, well, I can't show that. Anyway, yeah, I can show you some examples of our greeting cards, though, that have my lettering on it. So that is my lettering with my business partner Emma's watercolor illustration. And let's see, I don't know if any... This isn't script, but this is letterpress, and it has my lettering on it. Such a cute card. Anyway, the things that I do professionally are much more modern, carefree, and loose, and vary a lot. So a lot of block print, or modern script, or not modern script. So it's really fun, but it means that I kind of have to study it all. And I want to study it all so that I can expand my work professionally as well. So that means I take a lot of workshops. And at the beginning of February, I went to California for the week to visit friends. And it just so happened that a wonderful calligrapher from the UK, James Faz Farrell, was also in California. And so I went up to Berkeley with friends and took his class. And it was called, well, I don't know what it was called specifically, but it was about polyrhythm and incorporating multiple rhythms into your calligraphy. So quite advanced, really fun, and very abstract. So I will show you some of the work from that, and I personally love abstract modern art. It's kind of what I have in the house, versus really traditional realistic painting or very traditional calligraphy. I err on that more abstract side. So this suited me perfectly. Some examples. Don't ask me what any of them say, because I don't really remember. I really don't remember. No, I don't. And then, let's see. Oh, I do know what this one says. This one says informal. INFORMAL. And then something really fun. So one of my good friends, Chen Long, was also in the class. She lives in Las Vegas. And because this class was so kind of like loose and just creating artwork, especially the last day, we kind of decided these things don't really say a whole lot anyway, or they don't have to. Let's pass work back and forth between us and see what happens. So these 3 pieces I got, and these are collaborations from both of us. It's kind of fun. So these are our fingerprints, and then our Chops signature kind of monogram thing is in our fingerprint. I think this might be my favorite, although I do like the fingerprints. And that looks to me like it says Bailey. I don't know if that's what we were going for, but I think it does. I'm going to say it does. Anyway, any questions you may have about calligraphy as well, I would be happy to answer here. Gosh, it's just like such an endless thing. There's so much to learn and so many cool people and so many fun tools, and people make such cool stuff that I'm sure we'll dive into much, much more down the road. I suppose I can tell you what I use every day, and that is this pen, which is a Peerless Oblique, and I have a Nico G in it, which is a Japanese nib, and I use Moon Palace Sumi ink, and I dilute it probably 25%, so I don't know, I don't do math, I just squirt water into the jar. And I use these little Nalgene bottles for my ink because they never leak. And, oh, I just got new paper. I'll show you that next time. I have so much paper. I usually use Rhodia paper, and because it's so smooth. And that little setup is what I use for work because it's perfect for reproduction work. So my process is generally to letter on paper like this, like just whatever, and then scan it in to my computer, and then to vectorize it in Illustrator. So because everything that I do for work, almost everything that I do for work is for reproduction. So to be letterpressed or to be gold foiled or to be used in a digital print. So that is what I have found works the best for me for that. So anyway, please leave your questions for me and I'd be happy to answer them. And yeah, happy lettering. So now I will go into making all of the things and growing all of the things because my garden started growing this past week. So anyway, we'll start with sewing. I haven't really been sewing a ton, or really at all, since I got back from my California trip a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I don't think I've made anything, but I'd like to. So anyway, I will show you what I made right before that. Well, I made this shirt when we lived in California. It is made out of Nanny Eero fabric, which is a beautiful double gauze, and it is the sewn raglan shirt, tunic, and dress for women pattern from Pearl Soho, which is one of my absolute favorite places to kind of look for beautiful sewing and knitting inspiration. And I have sewn and knitted numerous patterns from them, and the only negative feedback I have about it is that they run small, so I just have to go up a size or two in their clothing. I forget what size I have cut. I'll figure out what size I've cut of this, because if you haven't sewn their patterns before, I mean, I've made the wrong size on numerous items from them until I just realized always go up a size because they're always going to run small. The second thing that I have is the Stow Bag, which is a collaboration between Grainline and Fringe Supply Company, which are two fantastic companies for knitting and sewing. And this is my Stow Bag. So cute. It's like, I guess it's a knitting bag, but you could really do anything with it. I have knitting in it right now, which I'm not going to show you because it's a gift for somebody that may very well end up watching this. And this, there are inside pockets to this. So for like pencils, or I have some little double point needles in here. Anyway, super cute. Comes in two different sizes. This is the small, and the large is huge. I haven't made it, but I kind of want to. I mean, it would be great for a sweater or even for like a grocery sack, which I try to use reusable grocery sacks all the time. And then the next pattern that I have made is also Grainline. It's the Scout Tee, and I've made it twice. These aren't ironed because they've been worn recently. So it's super cute fabric. It's got like little cactus on it. So that one. And then, sorry, they're not ironed. That is not very nice. And then this one. And you know, I'm not sure who makes either of these fabrics, but they are current, so you could get them. I can try to track them down. They're both from Fancy Tiger Crafts here in Denver, which is by far the best yarn and sewing shop I've ever come across, because they have both. So it's very dangerous because I can go get stuff for all the clothing, which is somebody that tries to make all of their own wardrobe, a little dangerous. And then I have not made this yet, but when I was there the last time, they had a sample and I tried it on and it fit really well, so I'm excited to make it. And it's the Merchant and Mills top number 64, and I'll be making the size 10. Let's see, the Scout Tee, I believe I made a 4 in. That's the thing, sizing for sewing your own clothing, it's just so scattered. So that's a 4. This is a 10. It's important to look at the bust measurements, is what I've learned. Anyway, that is my sewing. I also have, I will show you this. This is fun. So I've been wanting to make this dress for forever. And I think what's held me back is all the buttons and buttonholes. And I don't want to make them. It's not that I can't, I just don't want to. But it's so cute and so springy. It's the Darling Ranges dress. And it's by Megan Nielsen. And it's so cute. And it's got bust darts. It's got like a gathered skirt and a little tie in the back. And there are some other kind of hack things that you can do, like different sleeves and shift. So like not the bust darts, just a straight dress. If you wanted more of like a less tailored look. But I think what I want to do, oh look, there's Olive making her guest appearance. I think what I want to do is this dress, a fitted dress, and then a sweater that goes with it. To be determined. Anyway, I think that is what's going on I'm sewing things in my head and not in reality. So one of these days I will just start cutting. Well, I think the hard part and the decision making is you have fabric, and most of the time you know what you're going to make with it. But I sometimes, and as I've been sewing more of my wardrobe, I will just buy fabric, like yardage, like 2 or 3 yards of fabric, knowing this could work for numerous patterns. And while it will, and it does, and I do end up making things with it, it's more of a, oh my goodness, there are options. What am I going to make with this? What if I don't make the right thing? So you just have to be considered. And I'm not quite there. I need to be more in the like wardrobe planning headspace, or, oh my goodness, I really want this thing, this dress out of this fabric, or this shirt out of this fabric. So I have been thinking about making more of this top because I think it fits really nicely, and I think it looks a little bit like higher end and more tailored. Well, I mean, this looks better when it's ironed, but like a little bit more tailored. That this is a more they're both casual tops, but this is a little bit more casual, and this can be a little bit more, I don't know, dressy. I don't know. I don't really ever get dressed because I'm in this room from 8 to 6 every day or longer. So yeah. Anyway, questions about sewing, feel free to hit me up. Suggestions, pattern suggestions for cool sewing patterns, easy sewing patterns, I think would be fantastic. I love having like something like this where it's cut out, it's ready to go. I'll show you at a different time, but I have all of my patterns cut and hanging on a hook. And so I just have to pull off all the pattern pieces together and then cut. And it's pretty fast. So I love having something this would take me probably an hour and a half to cut and sew. So as long as I have enough fabric, I can be like, oh, I want that shirt, cut it, sew it, and have it for the next day. And you know, compared to knitting a garment, that's magical. And we're getting into spring and summer, so I'm sure I will start sewing more and knitting less, possibly. I don't know. But that does seem to be how the rhythm of my making goes a lot of the time. So on to what I've been making in the kitchen, maybe. I haven't been making a ton because nothing's growing. So what I mean is like preserving or anything involved. Although I did start a jar of orange ginger vodka. So all I did was bought some oranges. I bought Cara and blood oranges at Whole Foods this past weekend, and some vodka, and I just put it in a jar together. So I did not a zester, but just a peeler, and peeled the skin but not the pith off of the oranges. I think it was like maybe 7 oranges, and then I filled the jar with vodka and put in some slivers of ginger. And it's just kind of marinating in the kitchen until it kind of changes. I've noticed in the past when I've made flavored vodkas, the color starts to kind of change, which is a tip off for when the flavor is getting stronger. So I think I started it Sunday, so I'll probably check on it next Sunday, possibly do like a little taste of it, and see if the flavor is strong. If it's not, I'll just keep it going because there's no harm. It won't mold or anything if everything is submerged in the vodka. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of exciting, especially in the dead of winter. When I was in California, I made Meyer lemon jam with my friend Kelly Chilton, who is at Lovers and Dreamers on Instagram. And she has a Meyer lemon tree in her backyard, and I am infinitely jealous of that, especially now that I've moved somewhere that you cannot have backyard citrus, because it was always my dream. Anyway, I will have backyard other trees. I'm planting apples, cherries, possibly plums, so we'll see. But anyway, when I was there, I was staying with her, and we made 19 jars of Meyer lemon jam. So that is my most recent canning project, was with her, which was very fun. And as usual, always ends up being a long process, fun but long, and into the evening and night. And especially because we had to process, 19 jars don't fit in the canning pot, so what are you going to do? Yeah, I think that's most of the cooking that I've been doing. Gardening, I am so excited. So today is February 23rd. And this is all very new to me because it's my first year in Colorado. First gardening year, I guess. We were looking for houses in the fall, and we bought the house and closed September 30th and moved in officially the week of Thanksgiving. So we have a 1/4 acre, and it's in a neighborhood. It's just a large lot. So we have a lot of space to garden, which is what we were looking for. And a lot of outdoor. We have an enormous, probably 1,000 square foot deck, which will be beautiful in the summer. And we have a lot of different areas in the yard that we can use for outdoor recreation, which is lovely. And so I'm actually a little bit overwhelmed by how to get started with planting and gardening, because it's already landscaped for the most part, but not in the way that I want it to be landscaped. So things are going to have to be taken out. but not everything at once because then it wouldn't look good. So I think my plan is to start with finding or building my own raised beds so that I can grow vegetables and fruit starting, May. So that's what I'm in the middle of. But I started seeds on, let me check my gardening journal. This is my gardening journal. It's from JetPens. Okay, I started the seeds on the 15th. When was that? Last week? I think it was last week. And I started 5 different types of kale because kale is my favorite. And then I started lettuce. And I also started pine berries, but I will save this story. So last week, about 2 or 3 days after I started the seeds, and I have a lean-to greenhouse that I put on the front of the house, which is south facing. And I started the seeds on the 15th, and a couple days later, we had crazy wind. Well, my greenhouse was blown over, so the seeds got really jumbled. So I put them back in. I patted the dirt back into my seed starting trays, and then put a few more seeds in, and just keep watering it. And so now I got sprouts yesterday, yay, but I don't know what they are because the labeling kind of got messed up in the windstorm. And yeah, I'm gonna guess that once the initial sprout, I think they're Cotyledon, I don't know. Anyway, the initial sprout, once they get their true leaves, I should be able to start telling what they are. They're either kale or lettuce, obviously. And my guess is that there's maybe one variety of lettuce and one variety of kale that has sprouted. But the jury's out. So it's not, I'm not going to be able for this round to have a really good record of how quickly they started. But our temperatures have been highs in the 50s and 60s and lows in the 30s, 20s and 30s. So I'm really excited about that because I was a little bit worried that it'd be too cold at night for the small plants. So yeah, we'll see. The only other, I wasn't able to bring very much of my garden from California with me, but I did bring a few things. And one of them is a lime tree, which is in my living room. And I don't know how well it's faring. Currently it's blooming, but it's very few leaves now. It moved across the country. So I'm going to have to baby that. As soon as it can start going outside, I really want to get it out in the sun and with some, rainwater. But as long as it can limp along until then, I think I'm okay. And then I can also fertilize it when it gets outside. But I was at an estate sale a few days ago. Well, no, a couple weeks ago. And I bought a Mission fig tree, which is currently in the garage. And it was $8, which, if you know anything about how expensive plants can be, is really cheap. And it looked awful. It was somebody's house plant, but because figs lose their leaves every year in the winter, or should lose their leaves every year in the winter, it looked like a stick. And so nobody bought it, and I got it half off. And so I'm also excited about that. It will be a potted plant. So I will pot it up in a pretty outdoor planter and then bring it inside into the garage for the winter in future years. But that's kind of fun. Yeah, I think that's everything. I mean, it snowed a few days ago here, so there's not a whole lot to report plant-wise because everything is still quite dormant. But the very beginning signs of spring are coming, which is really exciting and I'm looking forward to. So anyway, I'll keep you posted. Okay, I am losing light and losing it fast, so I'm going to try to make the rest of this pretty speedy. I just want to show you a few things I got in the mail this past week, which is super fun. I mean, when I find something in my mailbox that's not bills or junk, I am super excited. Anyway, this gorgeous envelope is from my friend Brittany Fetterman, who lives in Austin. Super cute. And then it had this gorgeous little handmade card in it. And it was just a little thank you note. But yeah, what a gorgeous package. I'm just blown away. It's just so beautiful. And I love the little vintage stamps she used on the envelope. It looks like 3.15 cents and a 5 cent. Gosh, the stamps that they used to make were so incredible too. Anyway, and then this one came all the way from Brazil, from a Instagram friend, Anna. I'll put all their Instagram handles in it. On this gorgeous stationery. Gosh, her handwriting is so tiny and so fine. Love it. Just beautiful. I also love this envelope, the like airmail stripe. I've never seen an airmail stripe that's green and yellow. I guess you probably have to get that in Brazil. Anyway. And then this one is really special. It's a thank you note which I'm also mad that they did this. But look what the post office did. That silly circle because she had the house number wrong. Anyway, this is from a 14-year-old friend, Emma, who wrote me for Christmas as part of the Antiquaria holiday card exchange, which is super fun. Anyway, she's a calligraphy lover, and she was writing me about all of her calligraphy adventures and what she'd been doing, and so I wrote her back and I gave her some suggestions and nibs and exemplars so that she can keep studying, because I know at 14, you have babysitting money and your options are limited. But anyway, I love her enthusiasm, and so she wrote this gorgeous little note to me. And really, like, getting mail like that just absolutely makes my day, more than anything else. So anyway, well, the light is fading so fast. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you have stuck it out this long, bless you. It might just be my mom at this point, which is also okay. But I do hope that I find the courage to record again and that you have enjoyed spending some time with me. And I wish you all a very wonderful week, and in anything that you're doing, happy lettering, happy calligraphy, happy making, happy growing. I'll talk to you later.